So, welcome back to Geeking Out, guys, and I decided to bring the geek I get to blame for everything, because without knowing Ronnie here, I would not be into all this stuff I'm into now. Let's backtrack for a minute. Role-playing, computer games, anime, and what else? What else can I blame you for?
Online gaming.
Online gaming, yes.
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering. Yeah, that's about it. All of the things except for Warhammer.
Warhammer was the only one. You picked that up in Las Vegas.
No,
or in Nevada
City.
in general.
Nevada, yeah.
Carson City.
But really, wanted to bring him on the show today because I want to talk about what. Well, first of all, anime as a whole is a huge fan following. It's got massive amounts of fans. You could find any fan community for just about any show, I think. It's pretty huge. But Ronnie and I have been watching anime even before I knew I was watching anime. I think it was Voltron, Samurai Warriors. Or no, it wasn't Samurai Warriors, it was Samurai Troopers. They called it Ronin Warriors here in the States.
Yep.
But some of the earliest I remember was watching Voltron with you, Robotech, Macross, and gosh, I mean, there's probably others there that I've missed out on or I just can't remember.
There wasn't too much of we watched of it. My dad had a collection of things such as Astro Boy that we watched on occasion, Gigantor I remember a little bit better.
I never saw that one.
Star Blazers, which was the Americanized version of the space battleship Yamato.
Oh, okay. Now that was Queen Esmeralda, Esmeralda's?
That was
Was that a spin-off?
Captain Harlock.
Oh, Captain Harlock. Okay, I keep forgetting those ones. But what's your earliest? Which one do you really say left an impression on you?
Although, as Eric said, we've been watching these anime for a while before we knew they were anime. Voltron, Robotech, even some of the others, Gigantor and such. But the first ones that really set apart for me as being different than the usual American cartoons I was watching, like Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Which were still awesome.
Which were still awesome and still are awesome. But the earliest memories I have were the two shows running together of Ronin Warriors and Sailor Moon.
Yes, and I can't forget Sailor Moon either. That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, those ones definitely a huge impact. Gosh, so many hours watching that stuff. But then I remember you and I were in high school, and the Cartoon Network finally decided to start throwing on anime. They had an entire block of anime shows. You had Dragon Ball Z, you had Gundam Wing, Tenchi Muyo. What else was there? I'm forgetting one. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
I feel like it too. They had Sailor Moon on it for a little bit.
That's right. Those. That's one I was missing.
They had Outlaw Star.
Yes, Outlaw Star. My gosh, what a fantastic show. But I mean, all of that stuff, and I just from the earliest memory of you and I, we've been friends since kindergarten. So that's what 25 years plus probably. It's been a long time. And through all that time, we have shared a lot of anime together, a lot of shows that we just cannot get over. I don't know. Now, out of all the stuff that we've seen recently and all the stuff that we've been watching over the past few years, I'd say in the past decade, we've seen a lot of really significant stuff. What would you say would be the most significant to you now? Because I know there's a few. It's a toss-up for you. I know it's hard. So
there are quite a few in just the past decade. The ones that have stood out the most. Yeah, it's really hard to say because different ones have made different impacts. But the general two that stay on the top of my list, I kind of meander back and forth between are Vandred and My Hime.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say Vandred, but then I remember My Hime is always that one that you really go for. And you really got me into those ones. I remember you bringing over the first couple discs of My Hime. We popped those in. We were at my apartment, I think it was. You come over after work. We were working together at that point. So you'd come over. We would throw those in, and we'd watch those episodes. And that show, oh man, that's a whole episode we could do on that one. But it was like the show started kind of lighthearted, but a little mysterious. Good action, good characters, funny. What the? What the? Yeah, it was just what's happening, what's going on. And by the end of it, we were like. So yeah, it was that one really impressed me. It was fantastic. When I was in college, I really got into Gundam Seed big time. I got you watching that, and then the second one, Seed Destiny, came out, and then we're split. I love Seed Destiny, and you don't like it so much.
I enjoyed watching Seed Destiny. I really did, but Gundam Seed Destiny had a lot of awesome Gundams, some good hero moments, but also had a lot of fail and a lot of fail characters in it.
Need we mention any names? Shin, maybe?
Yeah, Shin Asuka, one of the worst protagonists ever? Yes.
Yeah, probably. I'll give you that one.
I mean, just think about it. He was such a bad protagonist that by the end of the show, even the writers had figured out he was a horrible protagonist and had him turn into an antagonist instead for the final couple episodes so that Kira could be the protagonist again.
Let's take our hero from the first 50 episodes and make him the hero again, which I certainly wasn't going to say no to. I mean, Kira is one of my favorite characters of all time.
One of the best anime heroes ever.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Yes. Great character. I mean, it was so awesome to see his humanity from starting out kind of a smart kid, but really didn't know what was going on, really questioning his beliefs and what he thought the fighting was for, and by the end of it, absolute, he was a savior of the battlefield. It was awesome. Now, when you and I we grab a hold of an anime, what do you look for in terms of storyline or anything like that? What do you like to see the most?
Probably what stands out to me more than anything is characters. I need to have characters that I can feel for and that I can appreciate, and what exactly that means varies from anime to anime, but usually the best anime create characters that I can really sympathize with and empathize with, and I can understand their motivations from heroes and villains. The good anime do that. Otherwise, I really like a sprinkling of several different things. I like action, but I don't like it to be all action. Certain ones can be more comedy than others, but most good anime have a certain element of comedy in them, no matter how serious.
Yeah, there's always a good sprinkling of comedy in most of the shows that you and I have watched together.
Going back to Gundam Seed, for instance, most of the series is a very gritty, like most Gundams, war-based philosophies and stuff. What are we really fighting for, and all this drama? Yeah,
there's always that philosophical
and then
piece of it.
Kagari comes in the room in her dress, and Kira says, "You're a girl," and she's about ready to punch you.
Of course I'm a girl, you idiot.
No, I mean, this just reminds me again that you're a girl. That's the same thing.
I'll have to dig that clip out somewhere. I know I've got it. Oh man, I guess when I grab a hold of an anime, there are times when I really enjoy the dark, kind of brooding shows like Hellsing, Vampire Hunter D. Those have fantastic action, but a lot of times they're very gothic in nature. They're very dark. They're not. There's not a lot of brightness to them. But there's always sometimes the endings in those are to a point where you really feel for the characters, and it's kind of an ending where you go, okay, it's not, you're not cheering at the end, but you're definitely with those characters. You enjoy it, and there are some that are just darn right tragic. One I saw recently was Gungrave. Oh man, tragedy. I was tired by the end of it. It was sad, very very sad. It was just one of those like, oh, well, what's a good analogy for like a cop drama or something, but nobody wins.
And those are the shows that I don't like for the most part. I like shows where the heroes are going to triumph in the end and be good guys. I'm a good guy all the way. Alliance, light side, Jedi,
that's true.
The good people, lawful good paladin stuff. That's all me. And occasionally I can get into shows that are not so much there, such as Fate Zero that we recently experienced.
Gosh.
But even with
Fate Zero,
stay tuned for that. Even with Fate Zero, though, largely I liked it because I'd already been integrated into that story through Fate Stay Night.
Right.
And since it was the prequel, even though it's going to be tragedy, you can experience this same exhilarating world, and we'll get into more about what made it good. But for the most part, I prefer my anime to have those good endings.
I'd say the animes that really solidified my being a fan were Sailor Moon, Gundam Wing, Gundam Seed, and then, gosh, Outlaw Star didn't really get me until later on. I kind of ignored it when it was on Cartoon Network. I wish I hadn't. Cowboy Bebop was a really good one. I really enjoyed watching that. But as a whole, I'm with you on the whole heroic and triumphant. We always see a story like that, and we both get into it. Delrin, unfortunately, he's kind of on the other side. I kind of stand on the fence. You're on one side. Here's Ryan on the other, and I stand right here. I can go either way. But all three of us have watched a few shows together. I can't believe we sat through Fooly Cooley. I think you missed that.
I managed to escape Fooly Cooley.
You're lucky. Because if anyone's ever seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, now that's another one that I think you and I need to talk about, because that is a mind trip beyond anything. Every time I watch it, I see something new, I see something different. But the same studio that did Ava also did Fooly Cooley. And Gainax, I don't know what those writers are smoking, but it's obviously something good, because they come up with some of the weirdest stuff, some of the most mind-bending visuals that you'll ever see on film. And it's, for the most part, it's good, but at the same time it's kooky, it's really weird, but then they start blending in all this philosophical imagery and stuff, and it just makes you stare at it and go, okay, do I need to really dig into this, or do I take it at face value? It's hard to see. The lines get blurred very easily. But I don't know, it's just like, it's one of those things that when you're an anime fan, you really start to enjoy it to the point where you don't. I don't watch a lot of conventional TV anymore. We get into some shows, like my wife and I are watching Eureka and Castle and stuff like that, but there's always more anime to watch, and that's the most beautiful thing about anime. I think that's a lot of people miss out because they just see it, oh, it's a cartoon. Yes, it is a cartoon. Yes, it is animation, but at the same time, it spreads so many different genres. It goes from romance to comedy to drama to action to horror to everything in between. It's just, there is no end to what can be done with a well-crafted anime.
What I think really sets anime apart is kind of what, as I say, Ronin Warriors and Sailor Moon were two of the first ones to make me aware of anime. And the reason for that is because of how they're constructed. It's because cartoons are generally aimed at younger kids. And because of that, the format for American cartoons tends to be one episode, one thing happens, sometimes ending on a cliffhanger. But for the most part, they're very stoic in those solid pieces. And anime can also, there's oftentimes an episode revolves around one idea. That's pretty much how any show goes. But the way anime works is it strings it together into a larger story a lot more, because it is aimed at teenagers and older audiences than that. And so because of that, it has the stronger ideas to it. And Sailor Moon especially was a semi-younger group than a lot of the anime, so it had a more rigid episode format than some of them.
You really have to admit with that one, though, is that you could go either way, but with the Americanization of it, it took the age range from here and brought it down. And
that is true.
I can never watch it in the dub anymore. I just can't do it.
But the point remains solid that at the end of the Sailor Moon saga, from each season that they produced Sailor Moon, there was a much larger idea at stake, a much larger.
The plot is still developing over time.
Than simply Megatron's trying to steal energy from the Earth, Optimus and the Autobots show up and stop him.
And then
we loved that format, but it was pretty much the same thing every single episode.
And it was very seldom you saw small little story pieces brought back into it, or, oh, you remember 10 episodes ago this happened, and we're going to say a little something about it over here and continue on. But, I mean, anime can go with these 200-plus episode epics. I mean, what do you got? Bleach, you've got Yu Yu Hakusho, you've got Dragon Ball Z. You get shows like that. A lot of the shonen shows, or Shonen Jump, those ones just go and go and go and go. And so, to go ahead and close this out, your top three.
Top three anime of all time? Bandred, My He-Man, and Slayers.
That was easy.
I've had those set for a pretty long time. I have my top 10 set pretty well. Number 4 was Full Metal Alchemist. Both the original and Brotherhood, I'll put them together as one thing. Full Metal Alchemist.
All right, I sense some generic top 10 lists coming in here. Not generic, though. They're going to be our own. They'll be fun to watch. I guess my top 3 would have to be Ava, Gundam Seed, and My Hime. Because it's just... Those two at the top have made the biggest impression on me as to what could be possible in anime. And I still watch Ava at least once a year. And like I say, every time I see it, I see something different. And I follow a couple of the voice actresses on Facebook and stuff. I mean, I'm reading Amanda Winley's book right now. It's pretty interesting. But that's the cool thing about it, is that the community is so big, and I'm very jealous of you. You get to go to Hawaii and go to a convention that I don't get to go to.
HawaiiCon 2013.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
Well, you better bring me back something cool.
Blink Blinkenbeard and Johnny Young Bosch. I'm going to be there.
That should be fun. That should be a lot of fun. Well, thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it, and see you next time.
Yep.